You probably don't need more vocabulary. And I know that might sound weird because when you speak in English and you struggle to express your ideas, it feels obvious. I just need more words. So you study loads of vocabulary and you save more reels with interesting expressions in them, and you fill your notebook with idioms and phrasal verbs, but when it's time to speak, the words are still nowhere to be found. That's exactly the problem I want to talk about today, because speaking confidence isn't limited by how many words you know. It's limited by how quickly you can access those words under pressure. So let's get cracking. Welcome to the BritSpeakPod, the podcast designed to help you feel more confident when you communicate in English. Hey up, mate. How you doing today? I'm not too bad. Thanks for asking, and welcome to episode 113 of the BritSpeakPod, where today we're talking all about why more vocabulary won't fix your speaking confidence. Now, if you're new around here, my name is Dan. I'm a CELTA-qualified British English teacher and communication coach, and my goal is to help you feel more confident when you're speaking in English. And as always, if you haven't already, the link in the description, you can get my free speaking workshop, Stop Freezing, Start Speaking, and it's perfect for people that understand English but still struggle to actually use it. Totally free. The link is in the description. So today's episode then is all about this problem, right? You know, you struggle to express your ideas when you're speaking in English. It happens to the best of us, right? Happens to me sometimes as well. But for whatever reason, you can't find the words, or you don't know the words, or, you want to express it in a different way, but you're just not quite able to do so, right? And most of the time when this happens with people I speak to, they feel that this is a vocabulary problem, right? They feel like they don't have enough vocabulary for whatever reason. And that, I understand that. That's kind of what people will always think, because there's plenty of words you don't know, so that must be the problem, right? And the dirty little secret is, I don't know a lot of words too. There's millions, probably, words in English. I don't know them all. So, it's obvious to think, well, I don't know all those words, so that must be the problem, right? So loads and loads of people tell me, Dan, I need more vocabulary. And because of that, most of their practice is spent on passive input. You know what I mean? They spend time, saving reels on Instagram that have got idioms and phrasal verbs in them. Or they write down 10 new words in their notebook every day. Or, they listen to podcasts and watch YouTube videos and read textbooks and use apps. And they kind of collect vocabulary like they're stickers in a sticker book or Pokemon cards when I was young, right? They just amass as many words as possible, right? And most of their time is spent on passive input. And then, shock horror, when it's time to do some active speaking, they still can't express their ideas very well. And therefore they think, oh, it's because I don't know enough words. And the cycle repeats. And over time, you still come up against this problem where you can't express yourself as well as you want. And every time it happens, it chips away at your confidence just a little bit. And over time, your confidence just drops and drops and drops, right? And it's hard for you because you think you're doing the right things. You think that you need more words, so you learn more words. But then you have the same problem, and then you have the same feeling, so you learn more words. And I understand it. Don't get me wrong, I understand it. But the truth of the matter is, more vocabulary won't fix this issue. It's not a vocabulary issue, right? It's like, I'm not very good at running, so I better buy a new pair of shoes, right? It doesn't matter how many pairs of shoes I have, I'm still fat and overweight and I'm not very good at running, right? You know what I mean? It's not about that. The issue is not the amount of words in almost every case that I see. The bigger problem is access to the words under pressure, right? If you know 100 words and you can access 100 words, that's far better than knowing 10,000 words and being able to access 100 words, right? It's like, it's counterintuitive, but sometimes the more options you have, the more overwhelmed you are. If you know 10 different ways to express an idea, and I just know one, I'm going to be able to express my idea way easier than you because I've only got one decision to make. You've got to make 10, right? So, like I said, more often than not, the amount of words is not the real problem. The bigger problem is, can you access them? Can you actually use them? And how easy is that process for you under pressure? Because everybody can do it when they're writing an email and they can check it 5 times and put it through ChatGPT to make sure it's right. But in a conversation, you've got to do it real time, you know? There's a lot of pressure. We've talked about it before. And under pressure, access to those words can be very difficult, right? Now, I want to, first of all, just clarify. Yes, vocabulary is important. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't bother learning new words, right? But what I am saying is it's not as important as you probably think it is. Now, I'm going to explain something that most people are shocked by. Oxford, I think, Oxford Dictionary did some research and they found that the 5,000 most used words in English covers 95% of daily conversations. 5,000 words, 95%, right? Now, I'm guessing if you're listening to this podcast and you're an intermediate to advanced English learner, you know the 5,000 most common words. Maybe there's 1 or 2 you don't know, but you know the vast majority of those words. They're not complicated words. Most of them are words like car and ball and book, you know, really simple vocabulary. But those 5,000 words cover 95% of daily conversations. So if you think that you need 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 words to feel confident, why? You know, the literal Oxford Dictionary has told you that that's wrong. Now, I understand why people stick to, you know, vocabulary. Because passive learning is easier. You know, you don't really have to do anything. You just sit there and your brain soaks up information, right? Whether it's reading or listening to a podcast like this or an audio book or whatever. And once again, I'm not saying passive learning is bad. I'm just saying you shouldn't spend 95% of your time doing it because it's easy. It's easy, yeah? It's safe. Nobody's judging you while you're listening to a podcast, right? Nobody. But if you're speaking, people may be judging you, especially yourself, which is probably a topic for another episode. But it's like, yeah, vocabulary and grammar and listening are far easier and safer, right? But that's why you're stuck. Because the truth of the matter is that safety and ease can only get you so far, you know. And most people, especially teachers like me, are not really talking about this stuff. And there's reasons from a business perspective why. It's very easy for people to sell an app if you think you need more vocabulary. It's very easy to sell you a textbook or a course if you feel like you need more, right? So most people don't talk about this fact because, you know, you're trying to fix one problem with the wrong solution. But as long as you're paying for that solution, they're happy, right? And it's a weird thing, but I strongly, strongly, strongly believe that this is the real problem, right? The solution is speaking practice. It always is. If you're not confident in speaking, speaking practice is 99.9% of the work you should be doing. Like, let me just explain another concept that exists in language learning. And it exists in your native language as well. And you'll understand what I mean. Everybody has got 2 sets of vocabulary. They've got their passive vocabulary and they've got active vocabulary. And what I mean by this is passive vocabulary are the words that you recognize and understand when you meet them, right? If you see them written down or you hear them, your brain is like, oh, I know that word. We recognize that one. It means this. Cool. That's passive vocabulary, right? You've also got active vocabulary. These are the words that you use regularly. They're the ones that you can recall in a conversation. They're the ones that easily come to you when you need them, and you can actively use them. Active vocabulary, right? Now, even in your native language, your passive vocabulary will be far bigger than your active vocabulary, okay? The problem is, in English, when you prioritize passive learning, your passive vocabulary is far, far, far bigger than your active vocabulary. So learning more words passively just increases your passive vocabulary, not your active vocabulary. And your active vocabulary is the one that you use when you're actually speaking, So that's why speaking confidence is not really tied to how many words you know. It's how many words you can use, right? And the way that you activate vocabulary is through speaking practice exercises. And more importantly than that, it is consistent repetition. I'm talking every day, right? I built something called a 30-day speaking Kickstarter for a reason. It gives you 30 days of speaking practice exercises so you can build that habit, because I think it's one of the most important things if you want to speak English confidently. It's like going to the gym and lifting up a weight. You can't do it once. You've got to do it over and over again, day after day after day after day, right? That's where the confidence comes from. That's how you activate your vocabulary. You don't need more words in your notebook. You need more of them coming out of your bloody mouth. That's the truth, right? And vocabulary can only become active through usage, right? And this is why you need to practice this kind of thing. For example, one amazing bit of practice that I recommend to so many people that I work with is learning to speak around a problem, right? When I was young, there was a board game, not really a board, it was a game, right? And you would get a card, and on that card, there was a key word. And underneath it, there were 5 words I wasn't allowed to say. And the idea was that I had to get my partner to guess this word by trying to explain it in another way, gestures or explaining what it is or giving examples or, whatever. It's called Taboo, and we basically played it as a drinking game, to be honest, but it's actually fantastic for English learners because it trains your brain to find another way to express an idea when you don't know a word. So you don't need to learn every single word so you've always got the perfect word for every situation. It's far better to learn a way to adapt when you don't know that word. That's something I would recommend. Or just, audio diary, or describing a picture, or, summarizing a podcast that you listen to. All of these exercises are fantastic for activating vocabulary. So what you really need to do is stop worrying about collecting even more and start trying to use the ones you've already got. And I know it's scary. And I know it's unsafe. And I know it feels awkward. And I know nobody likes it. But you know what else? The people that make the most progress are the ones that embrace that uncomfortable feeling. They're the ones that do it anyway. They're the ones that are inside the 30-day speaking Kickstarter, doing their best every day, 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, it sucks for them as well. They don't want to do it, but they're doing it and they're feeling better about their English. So it's something to think about, isn't it? Now, I want to say this one more time because I know some people won't process it. So you're not wrong for wanting more words. A lot of people tell me, I need more academic vocabulary. And I understand why you think that. You want to sound smart, especially if you work with English. You want people to respect you and feel that you're good at your job. Yeah, I understand, but what's the point in academic vocabulary if you can't use it? More words won't fix the problem, but you're not wrong for wanting that. I feel like you've just been a bit misled, and it's kind of you're diagnosing the wrong problem based on the symptoms, right? Now, like I said, you will only fix this problem with regular speaking repetition. Even if you're alone, it doesn't have to be in a conversation. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. It sucks. Nobody likes doing it. But that is where you grow your confidence. And I want you to know that no matter who you are, if you can find 10 minutes a day, you can do it. All you've got to do is start 10 minutes a day, practice a bit of speaking, whatever it is, describe a picture, summarize a podcast, whatever it is. and do it every day. Do it on the days where it feels good. Do it on the days where it feels bad. Do it on the days where you don't want to. Do it on the days when you're busy. Just make sure it's done. And it's not about, is it perfect? Is it good? Is it better than yesterday? That's not important. The only question you need to ask yourself is, did I do it today? Yes or no? And if you can answer yes every day for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you will notice that your brain goes blank far less, or you forget words far less, and you're able to express your ideas far more easily. You can do it. You've just got to get started. You've got to do the work. You've got to give your jumps, as my wife says. That's apparently a Portuguese expression that's roughly translated. You've got to do it. You've got to put the legwork in. But if you do it, and trust me, I'm here to help. If you do that, come back to this podcast in 90 days and leave a comment and tell me what you think, okay? Now, I know me saying practice speaking more, it is easier said than done, right? Now, I've got some things to help you. Like I did mention, there's a 30-day speaking Kickstarter. It's something that I offer. You don't need it. You can do it on your own. But if you're not sure where to get started, it's 30 days of speaking practice exercises done for you. All the materials are there. I even make a video every day showing you what to do and how to do it. So all the guesswork is taken out of it. All you've got to do is sit down, open the task, do it, finished. Cool. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, check the link in the description. And if you're not even sure about that, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, there's my free training workshop, Stop Freezing, Start Speaking. Talks all about speaking confidence and what you can start doing right now to start building that confidence. Totally free. Link is in the description, so check it out. But basically, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it kind of changed your mind a little bit and put you on the right path towards actually feeling confident when speaking in English. But that's it for this one. I'll be back again with another one really soon. But until then, look after yourself, mate. See you there.